Stevenson,
Yes, sir.
what are we waiting on?
I'm trying, Dr. Guy's trying to get me in. I wasn't all the way in.
I'll let you in on.
Something is going on here. I got 2 screens and no people. Are we ready?
Yeah, we have 4 counselors.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the East Cleveland City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, May 19th. It is 7:05 p.m. Dr. Guy?
Counselor Austin,
Present.
Mr. Martin,
Present.
Counselor Gowdy,
Present.
Counselor Stevenson.
Present.
As our Mayor King present, Wilson Timmons, Law Director present, and we have Melvin Leach, the Director of Community Development present.
We have remarks of the public on agenda items only, 2 minutes. Are there any public people online?
There is one. Mr. Anderson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Vice President, but I'm good. I don't have any comments.
Okay, we'll move on to minutes to be approved. Dr. Guy?
Yeah, the April 14th Finance Committee minutes. Need a motion and second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 14th, 2020 Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Counselor Austin,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Abstain.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
and Counselor Martin.
Abstain. Haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Okay, let me ask before I move on, Counselor Martin and Counselor Gowdy,
Please move on. Dr. Guy, please move on. This is not part of the agenda.
will you be abstaining on the other minutes before I move on?
Yes, I will.
Go to them, Dr. Guy. We decide
Counselor
ourselves.
Gowdy, will you be abstaining from the other minutes before I move on?
Go to the next minute, Dr. Guy, please.
Will you be abstaining from the other minutes, Counselor?
Which one you talking to, Dr. Guy?
I don't want to waste any time. If you're gonna abstain,
Dr. Guy, I cannot make no decision until you start doing the roll call.
April 16th, contract and property.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for April 16th, 2020 Contracts and Property meeting minutes. They are in our email right now.
I'll second the motion.
Counselor Austin,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Yay.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Martin.
Abstain.
Okay, the April 16th, 2020 agenda review.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 16th, 2020 Agenda Review meeting minutes.
No, I haven't reviewed that one. Can we?
We just put them to the next meeting, no problem.
To the next,
Yeah, just go to the next one.
April 21st, 2020 regular council.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 21st, 2020 regular council meeting minutes.
I second the motion.
Counselor Austin,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Abstain.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Martin.
Abstain.
April 30th, 2020 agenda review.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 30th, 2020 agenda review.
I haven't had a chance to review those either, council.
No problem.
Okay, so we only have the contract on property approved at this time. The rest will move to the next meeting.
Let's reports and announcements. Mayor Brandon King.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Hello, council. I'll try to make this brief. As per usual, these last couple meetings, we start off with a COVID-19 update. We are in a national or an international pandemic. As always, I would advise those watching for up-to-date information, recommendation, please visit the web and go to the Ohio CDC or the Ohio Department of Health for those updates. As many of you know, we have conducted free COVID testing here in the city of East Cleveland for our residents. We've done it once a week over the last 2 weeks, and it's been a pretty good turnout. As we know from the teletown hall, I believe it was 98% of the respondents wanted this testing just for a peace of mind and then to act accordingly. So the first week, which was May 6th, I believe we tested 150 residents. This past week, we tested, I think it's closer to 200 by the time we get the final count. And one of the things we were most proud about is that we were able to go into one of our high rises, whereas we know our seniors, a good majority of our seniors reside, and they aren't as mobile as they once were and don't really have transportation to then come and get the testing. So we took the testing to them.
Which high rise you talking about?
So we went into the Helen S. Brown
Okay.
and we tested a number of residents there, and we will continue the testing. We are on a 2-week hold as the laboratory that we're using, Genesis Reference Laboratory, will be back in 2 weeks. And I can't thank the governor enough and the staff from Genesis Reference Laboratories who made this testing possible for our residents. And as we all know, African Americans are adversely impacted as a result of this coronavirus. So it is essential that we test our residents so that they can act accordingly to preserve life here in the city of East Cleveland. City Hall still closed and will remain closed and limited access through the rest of the month. Council President just walked in. As soon as he gets adjusted, I'll bring him in. We've done now 4 plus food pantries. We distributed to East Cleveland residents over 50,000 pounds of food. We are averaging roughly 300 or better box deliveries per shipment, and we do these every other week. I'd like to thank everyone who volunteered. As we know, our council vice president gets a gold star. She's been to every food pantry. All of council get stars because all of council have been to all of the pantries. I can't thank you enough. The presence and the show of all of us working together really means a lot to me and a lot to the outer community as they watch us work together to provide services and increase the quality of life for our residents. I also have to thank the McGregor, Swagelock, and our very own Judge Dawson, who has been to 2 food pantries and has sent his staff down and has donated resources to make the food pantries even more fulfilling to our residents. Other good news, we are looking at a $2.2 million influx as a result of the coronavirus. And I've been fortunate enough to explain this to many of you, including Councilman Martin, who's here with us. That is coming from the Department of Treasury as part of the Coronavirus CARES Act. We just received $36,000, which is on the agenda for tonight from the Department of Justice. That's something that I helped work on personally to get that and other grants and monies to help us kind of balance off what we're expending man hours and financially to deal with this pandemic. Again, we're working on the tow yard that is in progress. The bids are due the 28th of this month. We are estimating between $350,000 to maybe $500,000 in annual revenue. City services has started. We have started grass cutting, pothole filling, street lights. Many of them are up. Demolitions, groundhog, leaf pickup. All of that is underway and going on as we continue to make the lives of our residents, raise the quality of life for our residents. That concludes my report, unless there are any questions or concerns thereof. Thank you, Council Vice President. And again, the Council Vice President is here. I will bring him into focus.
Council President.
I'm sorry, Council
Council
President.
President.
Dr. Guy, I'd like to pass the gavel.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Martin. My deepest apologies as phone issues, so I did the next. I did what Councilman Martin would do, and that's come to where I know where I can still join the meeting. So excuse me, I have no notes. I luckily have my ink pen in the truck. So thank you very much. Thank you, Council Vice President. Next, we move on to communications of appointments.
There are none. There are no receipts of communications. So we can move on to the reports of council.
Thank you very much. Reports of council committees, Councilman Martin.
Yeah, health and safety will probably not meet till we get something definite, because we're trying to get back to normal. I will say that the mayor talked about the $2.2 million from the Department of Treasury. Well, that will benefit health and safety, will benefit our fire and police, and maybe he can go in depth about that. Also, I think the mayor forgot to mention, because he mentioned to some of us, $670,000 from the community block grant money. Right, so that's going to help us. So we, as a council, are legally supposed to meet once in July and once in August, but I think everything would be contingent upon how this stuff goes as we get back to normal. It looked like we'll be back to normal at the beginning of June 1st. So once we get back to normal, then I'll start having a health and safety committee meeting. But I want to thank the mayor for being involved with us getting all this money, $2.2 million, almost $600,000, $36,000 for our little city. That's excellent when you look in terms of the finance report under President Smith, where we're going to lose revenue from the red light cameras and lose money from taxes because people are not working. So I hope that we can balance that and in the end, at the end of the year, have a balanced budget, which is going to be essential. Also, it connects with the 21st, the State Fiscal Commission meeting, and I'm quite sure there's going to be some very important dialogue on that in terms of revenue projections. So health and safety is still pending this contingent upon the outcome of the coronavirus situation for our city. That concludes health and safety. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Yeah. Councilwoman Gowdy.
Personnel and appointments we had met, and I had a problem with one of the officers that actually wanted to come and to tell us about what went on about her losing her job. And Willa said that it was a the law director said it was a pending lawsuit, and find out it was none. So she did not show up for my meeting.
Was it?
And because of a pending lawsuit, and it wasn't, and I feel like we need to talk more about that. We need to have a hearing on that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gowdy. Councilman Tim Austin.
Good evening, Brother President. Contracts and property did meet. this month. I am planning to have another meeting on next Tuesday. If we can get that scheduled, Dr. Guy, I would really appreciate it. I have a few notes from our last meeting. Working on some issues with our roads, trying to get the engineer paid, trying to make sure that the road work for next year is actually, you know, under contract and, you know, able to take place on schedule. Our vice president made a recommendation that we consider hiring a full-time city engineer. And after we, you know, kind of do the analysis, it may be something we may be able to afford. So more to follow on that discussion. Working with the mayor to receive more information on the open contracts from January 2020 to current, and then some of the issues or some of these side discussion as it pertains to contracts won't be a surprise for the council, because we'll have a list of the open contracts when they could potentially expire. And so we kind of look deep into the pipeline and make sure that we are doing our due diligence, so to be better stewards of the resources that we have. Getting that contract status is definitely going to help us. And again, Dr. Guy, if we can get the information as to whether it's going to be a 6:30 or 5:30 p.m. start time for the contracts and property meeting to kind of catch up with some of the outstanding legislation that is either pending and kind of helping us to move forward. That is all I have, Brother President. Thank you very much for all you do. Councilman Austin now.
Thank you, Councilman Austin. Council Vice President?
The General Services and Administration meeting, what we're doing is looking at the possibility of having a meeting probably early next month or by the second week, depending upon where we are with COVID and how much legislation is stacked in the box. But that information will be forthcoming. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I chair the Finance Committee. Unfortunately, our last Finance Committee had to get postponed. I too will ask for Dr. Guy, if we can reschedule our next Finance Committee on the same day that Councilman Austin is having his committee meeting. So at least we can already be in front of the cameras. I too would like to thank our mayor for securing us funding during these dark times. As I say, I ran out the house. I swear I had a full report ready to go. So I apologize because I do not. But instead of waiting till next month, I want to reschedule Finance Committee meeting for next week after Councilman Austin's meeting, if that's possible.
Okay.
If I can, I'd like to jump in behind the president and just mention again, Bearsford at the top of Terrace Road. I want to thank the mayor and administration. A car ran into and knocked the pole down and put the lights out, and they fixed it within 3 days. I want to thank you for that. But also I want to bring to your attention what we all know I've been talking about in the last few years, but maybe we can get it done. Going up in the park next to Heritage, it's horrible driving up there. And I know we're going to have the Shaw thing again, but it's way overdue for us. If we're going to do some road stuff, Mr. President and Mayor, we need to fix that little road. It ain't but about 20 feet, 20, 30 feet. But when you drive up there, it's horrible. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
So I hope that we can include that, Tim Austin Contracts and Properties, see if we can get some money to fix that little area. I don't know if you have to go under it or whatever, but it's when you drive up there, it's bad. And you can go into our park.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you,
for the council, for the record, so the next contracts and property will be Tuesday, May 26th at 5:30.
Great.
And the finance will be the same day at 6:30.
Thank you very much.
I want to also recognize Dr. Rice from the school board and Dr. Una Keenan from the school board. They just
Hello, Dr. Rice and Dr. Keenan, Judge Keenan, Mr. Mayor.
So thank you, Council President. One of the things I'd like to mention, and I'm glad that this came up, because it kind of goes back and it touches on the overages for Avancic, as we have been discussing going up Beresford in the Kirk for quite some time. And as such, I believe it was maybe 2 meetings ago, I sent them back up there. So they do have on the list, I believe it's 57 to 60,000 is what it would cost to do that small stretch of real estate. So as we move forward and look to do our resurfacing for this year, that is something that will definitely be considered. And I'd like to thank Council and Councilman Martin here for continually pushing that and reminding us of its importance and needs to be done. So it is in the works and being looked at.
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Next we have, all righty, thank you all. Next we have confirmation of appointments. We have none. Receipts of communication and petitions. We have none. Reports of council committees. We just did. Proclamations. We have none. Bids. We have none. Legislation. We move on to legislation. Dr. Guy, please.
Okay, resolution number 11-20 is a second read, a resolution authorizing the mayor to
Speak up, Dr. Guy. Please. Speak up. I can't hear that well.
Okay, Counselor.
Thank you.
Resolution number 11-20. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Second read, a resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with Stephen Havancic and Associates to provide engineering services for the city's fiscal year 20 improvement project. And can you all mute yourself? For surveying, engineering, design, preparation of construction specifications, and construction administration as built, change orders, and project final closeout, and construction inspection for an amount not to exceed $51,500, funded by the Community Development Department and sponsored by Timothy Austin, Counselor at Large.
Was that them?
That's them.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Resolution number 11-20 bears your Timothy R. Austin, name of Timothy R. Austin. What is your pleasure?
I would like to sponsor resolution 11-20 and move for its adoption.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, this is an opportunity to have a subject matter expert on the ground to execute the plan for revitalizing our city and resurfacing our roads. It's a great thing for us.
Thank you, Councilman Austin. Dr. Guy, can you call the roll, please?
And I'd like to add, before you
Excuse
call
me,
the-
I have a question. I
Okay.
have a question. Did it go out to bid?
The chair recognizes Councilman Martin.
Yeah,
Was
I
there
also wanted,
anybody else wanted
then
to?
he can, Mayor can answer your question. Is the project is not to exceed 51,500, just for the record. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Councilwoman Juanita Gowdy.
If your credit card debt is out.
Was there anybody else wanted to participate in it?
And tomorrow.
So yes, this did go out to bid, and this is the award of the request for quotations. So if you'd like to see all of the documentation regarding to it, you would need to go down into Building and Housing and speak with Mel Rand Leach, who's the director down there.
For record, when did it go out for bids?
If I'm not mistaken, it went out for bid earlier this year.
Thank you.
Yes, and all of that documentation was given to all the counselors. I made hard copies and I sent electronic copies of the bid.
Ready to call the roll, Counselor?
Yes.
Counselor Austin?
Yay.
Counselor Martin?
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy? Counselor Gowdy?
Yay.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yay.
Counselor Smith?
Yay.
Okay, resolution number 11-20 has passed. Next, we move to Resolution number 12-20, second read. Resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with Stephen Havancic and Associates to amend the 2018-2019 contract to cover the additional streets added to the 2018-2019 project approved by resolution number 14-18, requested by the Community Development Department and sponsored by Ernest L. Smith, Council President.
Dr. Guy, I'd like to pass the gavel over to Council Vice President Corinne Stevens.
Councilman Smith, this ordinance bears your name. What is it that you would like to do?
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to sponsor resolution number 12-20 and move for its adoption.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Any discussion?
I'd like to also co-sponsor this legislation.
Thank you, Councilman. Hearing no discussion, can Dr. Gotti call the roll, please?
Okay, with Council Timothy Austin co-sponsoring.
You can put me down as a co-sponsor too.
You too, Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Councilor Austin?
Yay.
Councilor Martin?
Yay.
Councilor Gowdy?
Yay.
Councilor Stevenson?
Yay.
And Councilor Smith.
Yay.
Resolution 12-20 is passed. Next, we have ordinance number 12-20 as first read with the correction minus the declaring the emergency on this one. An ordinance enacting and adopting a second supplement to the Code of Ordinances for the City of East Cleveland, requested by Ernest L. Smith, sponsored by Council as a whole. Again, this is the American Legal Publishing Company, where you are getting the quarterly updates to the codes each year.
Thank you.
This is being read into the record. Ordinance number 14-20 is an emergency and ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the City of Cleveland Division of Water, Suburban Water Main Renewal Program, SWMR, to accept an award of $2,220,242 for water line replacement to support the engineering design and replacement of the 7,795 inches of water lines along Euclid Avenue in sections from West Belvoir to Hastings and Superior to Forest Hill Boulevard and Forest Hill Avenue from Superior to Idlewood Avenue, and declaring an emergency.
Dr. Guy, you need, I want to intercede with you right quick. You need to read that number over again of the 2 million because you had one of the digits wrong. Read it again for the record. You said 2,000,002, but it's here, it's got 2,005,020,242.
I said $2,520,242.
Thank you, but you didn't say that the first time because I was listening to you, okay? No big deal, but just get it correct. It is 2,005,20.
Councilor, can I just read? Thank you.
What'd you say?
Let me just restart, okay?
Okay.
Ordinance number 14-20 is an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the City of Cleveland Division of Water, Suburban Water Main Renewal Program, SWMR, to accept an award of $2,520,242 for the water line replacement to support the engineering design and replacement of a 7,795 inches of water lines across Euclid Avenue in sections from West Belvoir to Hastings and Superior to Forest Hill Boulevard and Forest Hill Avenue from Superior to Idlewood Avenue, and declaring an emergency, requested by the mayor, sponsored by Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Councilman Austin, ordinance number 14-20 bears your name. What is your pleasure?
I would like to sponsor ordinance number 14-20 and move for its adoption.
I second that motion.
Discussion, any discussion?
It's very important that we get the infrastructure in our city reset.
Councilman Austin?
It's very important that we get the infrastructure in our city reset prior to resurfacing Euclid Avenue. So we don't have to dig into the newly paved road in order to correct something that we have the opportunity to correct right now. And it's phenomenal that we have this resource coming to us, and charge.
Thank you, Councilman Austin.
Mr. President, one question in relation, Mr. Austin, when is this supposed to get started? When are you gonna start doing the work?
I don't have the start date, but I know we would like it, obviously, to execute prior to resurfacing Euclid Avenue. Mayor, could you be specific as to the start date once this ordinance is passed?
Thank you, councilors. Great question. I'm so thankful that you guys are looking at this and it looks like you're gonna pass it. So what we've talked about before and what we're trying to do is get all of these agencies coordinating together. So we talked about this late last year. I had to go down to Cleveland Water and repair a relationship that had been spoiled. So we hadn't been part of this for quite some time. And Councilman Martin, that's why you haven't seen Cleveland Public Water legislation come in front of us. So now that we have this, we'll be able to get to the table, Cleveland Public Water, the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, and ODOT, to then coordinate their plans for resurfacing so that all of the infrastructure underground, whether it's the water or the sewer, can be addressed before the Department of Transportation goes to put a new Euclid in. So we're excited about that. The bids have gone out, and if I had to guesstimate, it won't be until next year before the repaving of Euclid Avenue starts. And so prior to that, you will see them in an emergency fashion getting work along Euclid done, as the sewer district did last year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Juanita Gowdy?
Yes, I would love to have somebody from the water department to come out and give us a presentation before we get into further details about this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gowdy. Dr. Guy?
Okay, Counselor Austin,
Yay.
Counselor Martin,
Yay!
Counselor Gowdy.
Hey, did you put me down as a co-sponsor on this?
I can.
Dr. Guy, can you do that?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Counselor Gowdy,
I'm going to abstain because
Counselor Smith, Stevenson,
Yay.
and Counselor Smith.
Yay.
Okay, ordinance number 14-20 has passed. Okay, the next one is just being read into the record. Ordinance number 15-20. First read, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to section 1123.03 AAA and section 1123.03A for Cornerstone Project LLC to operate a place of education and a drug treatment center at 15011 Euclid Avenue, East Cleveland, Ohio, requested by the Community Development Department and sponsored by Timothy R. Austin, Council at Large.
Councilman Austin, this bears your name. What is your pleasure?
I guess we're just gonna talk about it since this is a first read. But what the person from Cornerstone was here to discuss was some of the services that they would provide at this location. And I wanted to restate my perspective as this is just simply a conditional use permit so they can actually operate within our city. And I know there's some additional consternation on, you know, how we proceed with agencies that want to perform here, looking at our future scope of the city. So if there's something that's going on in our city and we don't like it, then we should take the appropriate action to withdraw the permit as necessary, and we retain that authority. So at this point, it seems that the Cornerstone endeavor may be beneficial. So there's some additional information that we need to kind of work out, some more to follow, and it's largely associated with being able to enforce, you know, safety and security for our residents. So more to follow. Madam Vice President, I feel you 100%. So we just kind of find a way through, you know, providing a service in a place where, you know, it's unsafe in our city a lot of times. So we have to find that that balance of enforcement necessary. So, same people that are out there walking the streets like aimlessly, that need help, they still need help. They still gonna walk the streets, whether you put something in that location that might be able to serve them or not. So we have to, it's a delicate balance. So thank you very much, Brother President.
Thank you, Councilman Officer. Councilman Nate.
Mr. President, and Council, I'd like to concur in this. I'm considering as a co-sponsor, I pray that we have Ms. Stevenson's concerns addressed. When I think about drug treatment and all that, Ms. Stevenson, you and I go back to county jail, and I dealt with that for 10 years as a social worker in county jail. And I know from being in the street that we pay drug people on drugs daily and don't have a clue that they're on drugs. It's a part of our society. So if we have a good facility and we have that treatment, we need to address that. That's one problem that I have some concern about, that we do it right. Also, our homeless population, and we do have a homeless population here in East Cleveland, but that's another issue. We do have a facility in your ward, Juanita Gowdy, Nicole House, supposed to be dealing with the homeless youth. And I don't know what's going on with that, but we don't live in a perfect society, so we're gonna have these issues, and they will always be here. Okay, so I hope that your issues addressed, and by the time we deal with this, and this is a first reading, we'll be comfortable with it. Mr. President, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Councilman Martin.
Well, can I, Mr.
Yes,
President?
absolutely.
The only way I'm gonna be comfortable with this, if y'all get it off Euclid Avenue, I'm gonna tell you. It does not belong on Euclid Avenue. I don't think that the main thoroughfare in our city should be having, and Mr. Martin, you're right. We go back to the county jail where I wrote the first drug grant to bring drug services into the county jail. I have no problem with people getting drug services. I have a severe problem with continually locating these kinds of things around and throughout our community where our schools are. Like I said, there's a sex offender, you want to call it a camp, right down the street in Ward 3 that these children have to walk past every day on their way to school, and to put them into a half mile, and I'm going to continue to say it, where they have to dodge different obstacles to get to school is unfair. It's unfair to the people in this city to put this thing on Euclid Avenue. And, I'm just gonna keep saying it because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
It's my turn. Thank you, Council Juanita.
Councilwoman Gowdy?
Yes, and I do agree 100%. We do have children that's walking back and forth to school in summertime coming, and we don't need that on Euclid Avenue. And that's Millionaire Road. We really don't need something like that in our city. Really.
Well, I have a different vantage point. Maybe I'm naive.
It's not on Euclid.
But I would think the most safest place to have would be on Euclid, where you got all the traffic going down with people. They ain't gonna pull nothing with people walking up and down Euclid all day and all night. You don't want on the side street where they can snatch somebody. Okay, I'm just giving my opinion.
We need
I feel comfortable with it being on Euclid Avenue. I'm saying that. Okay.
We did not
We
say
need
put it on a side
and we
street.
need grocery stores.
Nobody said put it on a side street. I said
right.
get it off of Euclid.
Well, where you gonna put it at then?
We need
That's up to
restaurants
them.
and
They got
grocery
money.
stores.
Let them go build the building in one of these vacant lots.
All right.
We need that on Euclid.
You saying we need it on Euclid County?
No, we need restaurants on Euclid. Not a drug rehab.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to look into what y'all did in 2019.
Thank you, Dr. Guy, please.
Okay. Ordinance number 17-20 has been read into the record. An ordinance amending chapter 356 of the codified ordinances of the city of East Cleveland to change reserved parking for city council use from 5 parking spaces along the north retaining wall of the western portion of the city hall to the eastern portion to 2 spaces along the northern retaining wall of the eastern portion and 3 spaces along the north retaining wall of the western portion of City Hall. Requested by Councilor Stevenson and sponsored by Councilor Stevenson.
Ordinance number 1720 is the first read. Council Vice President, you have any discussion?
No, we just need to be safe. The parking lot, you know, like I said a couple meetings ago, we just need to be safe as we transport, because after all, we are the city fathers, so to speak.
Mr. President, I just want to intercede that I don't think we need to legislate this. I think it was a consensus in agenda review that the 2 ladies would get the spots closer to where they're safe at. And we also need to consider a safe spot for our clerk, Dr. Khadija Guy. She's a female. But I don't think we need to legislate it. Just Ernest Smith said he don't want a spot.
Thank you, Counselor.
Okay, right. So we need to look out for Dr. Guy too. She's a female. So I think we just need to use some common sense and give her the spots. Okay? The thing over the last 27 years is that it's been enforced off and on, the open spots. Okay? So that will be probably an improvement, and the mayor seems like he's gonna help us with that. But I don't think we need to legislate it. You guys, Ernest has already said he's gonna give up his spot. Okay? We need to get a spot for Khadija Guy. Okay, she's going up here more than anybody. So that's my remarks on that.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. I'll make a real brief remark. Council Vice President brought this to the table. She is one of our great seniors now on council, and I respect the fact that she wants to be safe. When it came to me, I did kind of tell her on the phone. I was with my child, and I did kind of brush her off the phone and say, I don't care about that, but I shouldn't have talked like that. But I'm really just saying that to you, Councilman Martin, while we face to face, because I know you think I'm behind the scenes on everything, but I would be more than happy for our ladies to have these parking spots. And just to let you all know, while we just at the table, when I talked to the administration about it, they were more than willing to take off that 5 o'clock from the previous mayor, that garbage that got put on whatever council they put that on.
Uh-huh.
So they were willing to clear all those 5 of those parking spots. If they came up with a little plan with Council Vice President, no problem. I really don't think it has to be legislated as well, long as the administration will enforce the parking spots, because that was the problem. I got cussed out pulling in court parking spots before.
Yeah.
And and I don't want that happening to any of our ladies. So it's a first read. We have time.
We got time. Khadija Guy, Dr. Khadija Guy, Vice President Corrine Stevenson, and the one and only Juanita Gotti, we care about you. Okay?
Absolutely.
Y'all need to act like no. But the legislation was necessary, I think, because the legislation in the ordinance book was missing words and things. Is that correct, Dr. Guy?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's why it was brought to the table as legislation.
Well, before we vote on it in the next council meeting, I need to see that so I can read it and deal with it intelligently. But otherwise, I think we really resolved the situation. Okay, but we definitely need to make sure that our clerk has a safe spot when she's here. Okay, so I'm through with it at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, ordinance number 18-20. Dr. Guy, please.
Okay, last but not least, the ordinance number 18-20 is an emergency. An ordinance to authorize the mayor to accept a $36,460 from the Office of Justice Programs, OJP, U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ grant under the OJP funding opportunity entitled BJA Fiscal Year 20 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program for the project entitled East Cleveland Coronavirus Response and declaring an emergency for the public health, safety, and welfare. Requested by Mayor Brandon L. King and sponsored by our council president, Ernest L. Smith.
I want to co-sponsor.
I co-sponsor it too. Whenever we get money, I'll co-sponsor that anytime.
Thank you. Thank you both. I'd like to pass the gavel to, thank you both. I'd like to pass the gavel to Council Vice President, Council Vice President Corinne Stevens.
I'm going to co-sponsor Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Council.
I have co-sponsored for Gowdy, Martin, and Austin.
Council President, you are sponsoring this legislation. What's your pleasure?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to sponsor ordinance number 18-20 and move for its adoption.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Again, anytime we have a chance to get any kind of funding in these dark times, we have to do what we need to do. Dr. Guy, you call the roll, please.
I am so glad that this is federal money, and I know that it's going to go to the right places, and I'm not too much worried about it, so thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Guy, can you call the roll, please?
Councilor Austin?
Yay.
Councilor Martin?
Yay.
Councilor Gowdy?
Yay.
Councilor Stevenson?
Yay.
And Councilor Smith?
Yay.
Okay. Ordinance number 18-20 is passed.
Thank you all. Next, we have remarks and requests of the public. 3 minutes, please.
Justin Anderson, 14436 Terrace Road. I was just pretty much wanted to talk about, I seen an ad or something that they're hiring 2 seasonal grass cutters. I think that's really good to start with 2. I think it's good that they're hiring some seasonal workers to specifically cut grass. I think maybe they could hire more if we cut down on the spending of the grass cutting, but 2 is better than none. And hopefully we can find some East Cleveland residents to cut the grass, and hopefully it could be some younger people who can make some money and help support their family, because we are the poorest city in Ohio. And I remember Nate Martin had sponsored a program where the students at Shaw would cut grass through the summer. I hope that we could possibly get back into that, because we could hire about 80 students for the price that we're paying these companies, these construction companies, to cut our grass, and a few landscaping companies. So hopefully we could do that. And also we wanted to talk about the officer who was at the last meeting, the personnel and appointments meeting. She wanted to explain why she was fired. Of course, me personally, I have nothing to do with that, but I was interested in hearing it from a citizen's standpoint. But they said that she had a lawsuit in, so it shouldn't be talked about. And I know I've talked with the councilwoman. She said she had some legal questions to ask during that meeting, but the law director wasn't present. So I was just wondering what was going on with that. And why did they say, because Dr. Khadija Guy, the great clerk, announced that that the law director couldn't be there because there was a lawsuit pending. But when I checked, I couldn't find the lawsuit. So if someone would please give me the place where I can find the lawsuit, I greatly appreciate it. I hope that you all are staying safe. And the next East Cleveland Sunrise newspaper will be out here in the next week or so. It will be door to door. If any residents need to advertise positive stories only in the newspaper, we do offer free advertisement and positive stories to some residents, depending on what it is. So you can email or call the East Cleveland Sunrise at eastclevelandsunrise@gmail.com or call 216-577-6020. We also have a complaint tip line. If you have any complaints of things going on the city, we have been bombarded with calls over the last 3 weeks. So if it takes us a little time to get back with you, please bear with us, and we thank you on behalf of the East Cleveland Sunrise, the only East Cleveland newspaper. Stay safe. Thank you.
Any other remarks and requests of the public?
Mary Rice has her hand up.
Dr. Rice, how you doing?
I'm well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Firstly, good evening to Mayor King and to the great counselors of East Cleveland. So glad to be able to greet you this evening. I just have 3 things I'd like to share some comments on. The first thing is that's very commendable of the mayor and the counselors for the water award of $2.5 million. Phenomenal. Good to hear that. Second, I'm absolutely ecstatic to hear that about the work that's planned for Kirk Heritage Middle School. That to drive by there is taking your car and your life in your hand. So it's so great to hear that. And thank you for that. I heard about the drug treatment program, and I'm really concerned because it's not that very far from Shaw High School. That's awfully close proximity. And believe me, I've had a lot of experience with, I was a volunteer for a drug treatment program, as well as I've had members of my family to be involved, just to make it real and to make it honest. But I'm still very concerned about the close proximity it is to Shaw High School. I will conclude my comments with that. It's so good to see each one of you stay safe. And also, let me commend you about the testing for COVID-19. The residents were so excited. My phone rang, and people called, and they were so glad to be able to get the testing. Great things are still happening in East Cleveland. Wonderful to hear that. I will stop now, and if you have any comments to address my comments, I'd certainly be appreciative. Blessings to each one of you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. You have any more of our great residents online? Seeing none, we move on to response of council and mayor to remarks of the public. Mayor Brandon L. King.
Thank you, Council President. Hello, Dr. Rice. It is good to hear your voice. I trust that you have been staying well and keeping safe amid the pandemic that we are under and the social distancing and the new norm, so to speak. So it's good to hear your voice. A couple of quick comments. So I've been working with Cleveland Water for a couple of years. You may have heard me mention earlier, the relationship had been spoiled with Cleveland Water and our previous city engineers, not to mention a whole host of other contractors and vendors that, when you step in and you have to kind of pick up the pieces and kind of mend relationships and create new relationships. So I'm excited that, I think it was December, council passed legislation allowing me to reestablish a relationship with Cleveland Public Water. And this is our first big contract with them, again, ahead of the resurfacing of Euclid Avenue. We've been talking about Kirk for quite some time, and it's with pleasure that we are resurfacing or are looking to resurface that stretch of land there, that stretch of roadway. The drug treatment is a very touchy issue, and it's touchy for everyone, including myself. One of the things that you often hear me say is that here in East Cleveland, there are not many of us who have not been impacted by drugs. So I too have had members in treatment facilities, incarcerated family members who have actually died from overdose. So it is probably one of the better locations here in the city for it is along Euclid Avenue. As we've talked about before, it allows for bus traffic so that the participants can get there. Remember, it is a rehab facility, so you won't really see people who are still adversely impacted on drugs. You won't really see them around there. That's usually not how those facilities work. And I will make mention, up and down Euclid Avenue, we have AA facilities, we have other drug facilities, we have the domestic violence facility, up and down Euclid Avenue in close proximity to schools and where students and kids have to walk by every day. However, these facilities are closely monitored, both inside and out, highly visible because they're on Euclid Avenue, right? And the people there are getting better and are there for the services that are much needed here in our community. So plus it's bringing jobs that are needed because that's how we raise the standard of living here in East Cleveland, by creating jobs here in the city. COVID testing. Yes, it's one of our commitments to our residents as we look to get through this pandemic and rebuild East Cleveland together. Please call my office if you are interested in being tested, as we will be looking to do another test in about 2 weeks. Next Tuesday, that would be June 2nd, we will be doing another food pantry. That's next Tuesday. If you'd like to get on that list, please call my office at 216-681-2211 and get on that list. Tuesday, May 26th. Tuesday, May 26th. Next week is the 26th? Next week is the 26th. My apologies. It's Tuesday, May 26th will be the next food pantry. That concludes my remarks, unless there are any questions or concerns of anything I've said. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Juanita Gowdy.
Yes, I want to thank everybody from listening and tuning in to what need to be done for our city. And I just want to let you know to stay safe out there. Dr. Rex, it's good to hear your voice. Keep coming on Zoom for our meetings. And Justin Anderson, we hope that we get some answers from the mayor or Willie Himmons. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Tim Austin.
Greetings, Brother President, Mayor, and the team, citizens. You know, we've been talking a lot about the pending repairs and or infrastructure for our city. I'm going to ask again that we start doing a little bit more to help sustain our infrastructure as far as cleaning up around our, you know, whether it's a catch basin or just kind of starting our summer cleanup, because the plan won't go forward as it has in the past. So we as residents have to do a little bit more to clean up our city. I wanted to ask the mayor if you know, Page was on his list, because over the weekend we had a water main break on Page. I noticed that I called it in. I noticed that the sewer district came out and put some cones in the middle of the street. And this is something we talked about, I guess, over a month ago. And I want to see if we can make sure that Page was on that list for some service. And just as a reminder, I know Cornerstone said they were going to look to hire from within the city of East Cleveland for some of the jobs that they will possibly bring here. But I just want to remind our team that these are skilled positions. Like, you have to be like qualified to doctor, nurse, practitioner of some sort. Counselor, some training is required. And I want to make sure that if there are still opportunities to receive that training now that the library is closed, I don't know if you have a point of contact and or a phone number that we can provide to our residents to say, if you're still seeking these services, they're still available, call this number. So more to follow on the potentially hiring an engineer to capitalize on some of the dollars that are available for this service. Looking forward to receiving more information on the contract status that we talked about. Yes, and thank you all for all the things you do. Continue to work hard. And again, Mayor, thank you for getting the food to our residents. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Austin. Madam Vice President?
Yes, I bring you greetings from Ward 4. No. I just have a couple of things this evening. About this list of streets to be repaired, I see bits and pieces of information, but I don't have it all. So, can somebody help me or tell me what this process is? How many streets? How do we get them on the list? You know, do we just put them on the list, or what's going on with that? That's number one. And number two is I have some seniors in my area that need grass cutting. Is there a free service for grass cutting for seniors in the city of East Cleveland? And I also have, Mr. Smedley, I think I talked to you about that. I have a extensive list of things that need to be done in the ward. And because we are not assigned a neighborhood, I need to start getting some of these things done. So I sent you an email, Mr. Smedley, about some stuff earlier in the week, but I haven't sent that list over, but I'll get it to you. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Councilman Martin left. He gives his greetings. So I want to thank my colleagues, all of you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chief of Staff, our great clerk, Dr. Guy, our cameraman, because without him, none of this is possible. Really want to thank, last but definitely not least, our great public that took time out to join us in this dark situation, these dark times on Zoom. Really, really, really want to thank you all. Yes, the COVID testing, please take advantage of it. Please contact the mayor's office for the food pantry. If you need food, please contact the mayor's office. Really, you can contact any of us, and we contact the mayor's office if some people don't have all of our numbers. Really want to thank everyone that's been on the front line during these times, really risking you all's life to serve the people. Really want to thank all the doctors and the nurses and police officers and firefighters and frontline workers who risk their life every day for us. All right, so we will continue to work on behalf of the great people of East Cleveland, no matter what. And hope that you join us at our next Zoom meeting, which will be next Tuesday at the Contracts and Property meeting at 5:30 right here on Zoom. And then at 6:30, we'll be having our Finance Committee meeting. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
And Councilman, you
Hello?
Hello.
I thought the mayor called for somebody. Okay.
No, I didn't. Did you need something?
No, I just want to remind us about that overlay for all the utilities. We talked about that about 2 years ago. The overlay for the water, electrical. prior to researching Euclid?
Yeah, let me check with Melran and Keisha if they have such a document. I'm not sure something like that exists, but I will ask Melran and then our consultant from OHM about that.
Right, we're just trying to do like a sync prior to letting those folks start, resurfacing. Just a reminder, no problem, no pressure for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ending the meeting. Thank you.